We have long heard that the demand is over in China. The demand cliff is here. We are plummeting over it like so many lemmings, and there's just no saving us. But I suspect that might not be true. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. Joined again by the crazy man himself, Randy. Let's figure out which direction he is, huh? I should know better. Randy Kirk, best-selling author of so many books, businessman, an entrepreneur, and a guy who, makes the YouTubes more exciting. That's just I don't know what he does with other tubes, and I've never bothered to ask. Today we're going to find out. Randy, tell us about the tubes.
Well,
So, for those of you just tuning in after that abrupt cut, if you want to know what we just said, it'll be at the end of the video because it's not really about Tesla. So, did you know demand in China? It's over. It's over. Foreign companies can't sell cars in China. Is that true?
well, apparently there's a lot of confusion about China right now. Last week, I was reporting, this is like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did 4 shows on the entire Asia market, the China market. I had on the top experts like Lutz and Wang and Goldberg, and they all came on. And I've got a lot of experience in China, and all of us are saying, well, yeah, China's in big trouble. They're going away. It's the end of the world. What's happening to the demand in China? And then all of a sudden, they did a little bank stimulus, some little tiny stimulus or something, and they were on life support last Thursday. And now I'm reading financial reports this morning and say, well, China's not doing so bad. And at least their automotive numbers are indicating they did just fine in August, including Tesla. Like all of the significant Chinese makers had a great month in August. So I guess maybe there's still some demand.
Maybe there's still some demand. Now, would you say does that mean that Fords are going to be selling well, that Volkswagens are going to be selling well?
In China?
In China? I mean, if the market's improving.
No, it's over for them in China.
It is over for them. But why?
Yes, I think, was it VW that just entered into a new
partnership?
Some kind of
with
partnership or something.
SAIC maybe?
SAIC, and they're going to have
one of those?
Yeah, I'm hearing from folks that I trust, because I don't know enough about it, that those are doomed to not work.
At the very least, it's going to take them a lot of time to get it sorted out and ramped.
Yeah.
But you can still sell. I mean, you can import these, cars. What possible advantage could Tesla have in the Chinese market?
Well, I suppose the fact that they're vertical from stem to stern and that they actually pay attention to what the customer wants. I don't know.
Well, BYD is the other big growth story,
Right.
and they are similarly vertically integrated.
Right.
So that would seem like a resounding vote of confidence for that philosophy.
Yes, I think, so vertical integration, by the way, you may or may not know, I also took my own company, from being 100% virtual to 100% vertical. And Inc. magazine actually did a story. Actually, I wrote a story for Inc. magazine on the subject of going from virtual to vertical.
Wow.
Elon Musk, like me, little tiny Elon, we both have said exactly the same thing. I didn't want to go vertical. I didn't want to make anything. I'm a graduate of law school. I don't know how to do things like make things. Do these look like the hands of a manufacturer? Oh my God.
No, Randy.
No, they don't.
So those look like the hands of a strangler.
That's right. Absolutely right. But Elon has said he didn't want to make it. He didn't want to go vertical. But you can't find guys that'll get you the right parts, and they can't get in there on time. And then when they get there, they don't fit the other part that you got from the other guy, and then everybody's pointing fingers. And anyway, so there's advantages to vertical integration. There are also disadvantages to vertical integration, because somebody is making a bajillion of them over here. Let's take tires, for instance. Tesla is unlikely to become vertically integrated and make their own tires, because there's all these other companies out there that have a massive investment in tire manufacturing and make, I think you said on my program the other day that a gazillion is not a very clear-cut number. Yeah.
It's not as specific as most numbers.
It's most numbers. But I would say that these tire companies make a gazillion. And if Tesla came along and only wanted to make a million, they probably couldn't do it for the same price as the tire company can sell them to Tesla. So there's no real massive advantage to going vertical in that way. All right, so the verticality is important. I can't begin to say this often enough or clearly enough. It is Elon and the rest of his team and BYD and the rest of their team listening to their crowd and also being able to use what they hear, what they listen to, and then establish a vision, somehow bring their entire employee group into the vision, and then execute on the vision that matters.
Yeah.
You got
Now,
somebody else like Volkswagen saying, "Oh, we'll just copy those guys." No, 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 no. It's just,
hey, there are a lot of tricks in the playbook that don't work anymore. We've seen them one industry after the next. So the demand cliff, we know we're already plunging over it because, and I haven't looked, maybe you can tell me, the new refresh Model 3, have they gotten even any reservations on it?
well, again, at this point, I only have the rumors and speculation, and they may be completely wrong. I heard that just by Tuesday, was the last time I take a look. It was on Tuesday. There was at least 60 and maybe 90,000 reservations for the Model Y Highland.
Model
Over,
3.
did I say Model Y? Yes, Model 3 Highland. Very sorry. So over the course of what? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 5 days, maybe 90,000 on order.
And what I've seen is that the delivery time has stretched from a couple weeks to now 9 weeks. So that's kind of a strong indicator.
Yes.
And I don't remember if it was, it's at least tripled, whatever it was. So that is a strong indication.
Meanwhile, Model Y's lead times are stretching out.
Wow.
On the performance, the Model Y is now 6 to 8 weeks out.
Wow. So there's also the strength of the brand. What do you know about the strength of Tesla's brand in China?
So, okay, again, I know a little bit about the Chinese market. I haven't sold as much as I've bought, obviously, from China, but I know a little bit about the Chinese market, and I've also listened to Larry Goldberg talk, and he's had quite an operation in China. And what you're looking at there is a middle class that is extremely brand conscious. I think probably more brand conscious than Americans, if that can be believed. More interested in having something that they can parade around to show that they've made it. Some kind of evidence of their sophistication, of their income or whatever. So, for instance, Apple computers or Apple watches, Apple phones, huge, huge, huge status symbol in China. It's a status symbol here too, but I can tell you that even my own kids, don't have Apple iPhones, even though I am an Apple through and through, and they think they're just as sophisticated and just as cool to have their Samsungs and their other versions compared to mine. But in China, it's that brand name is critical, and the Tesla brand name, obviously in China, is doing very, very, very well.
So when it comes to brands, they love their what was it? They said the M's, the BMWs, the Mercedes, was it the A's? I don't remember. There was some letters that they just love the imports. But are you going to buy an Audi or a BMW or a Mercedes when you could get a Tesla for 20,000 less and have the same brand cachet?
Yeah, the same brand cachet, and also the advantage of it being futuristic.
Yeah.
The futuristic part. You're looking at a culture which is more dominated by males than any culture in the world because they had their one-child policy for so long. So you have the male psyche is more inclined to want the future, to want the latest, greatest, to want the something that, again, that they can go and tell their friends, look at how cool my car is. Let's look under the hood. I have no idea what anything under there does, but let's look under the hood because that engine, man, I bought that engine. That's what we did. That's what we did. And now it's, hey, jump into my space age cockpit of this car. You don't have anything comes close to this, buddy.
Yeah, and it's not like you can buy a $30 or $40 or $50,000 BMW because you can't have a gasoline car for that many more years. If you buy it, you can sell it, but the value is going to fall precipitously as the deadline looms for the end of gasoline. They're already past peak gas. And I would argue that a BMW electric car or a Mercedes electric car, despite the price tag, isn't quite as desirable as a Tesla electric car. So it's the cheapest foreign brand. Then we've got the quality. Comparing Chinese quality to Tesla quality, and Tesla gets a hard time for vehicles made in Fremont, but when it comes to the vehicles that were made in China, I don't know if you've seen the reviews out of Europe, but they're pretty glowing.
Yeah, so again, there's all different levels of quality, okay? So we can talk about, gaps in doors and things, but I never, until I became a Tesla fan and started seeing the FUD, and again, I've driven Jaguars, I've driven Cadillacs, I've never had a Mercedes, so I never cared for them that much, except the one that I couldn't afford. What was that, what was that number? I forget, anyway, 450 SL. I couldn't quite get to that one. But I never paid any attention to gaps. I don't know what's wrong with me that wasn't on my list of how I was selecting the car. But it was on my list how often it went to the garage. It was on my list whether I could trust it. Those were things that I cared about. And apparently Tesla is way up at the top of the list, except for the entertainment system. But the entertainment system is like any computer. It may not be the computer's fault. It could be my fault that I don't know how to get to what I'm trying to get to. So but when you get beyond the computer, Tesla's right at the top of the list of every report that comes out in terms of the quality of the parts and the way things work. And of course, part of that's because there's not as many parts.
So for those who don't know, what Randy's referring to is there's this, is it JD Powers or Consumer Reports? I think it's JD Powers, who has this initial quality survey where they say any complaint that you have in the first 30 days, 90 days counts as a check mark against you. And as a result, people who say, I don't know how to find the settings for this, that counts the same as engine failure.
Right.
It counts the same as complete transmission malfunction, which is a pretty strange metric. I think when it comes to owners of Mercedes, my sister has a beautiful Mercedes. I asked her why she wasn't using the navigation. She said, you put it in. And I said, okay. And I gave up. I don't think she would have reported that as a complaint, but she should have, because that was crazy. It was unbelievable. Their user interfaces, it's very German. It was designed by engineers and not user interface engineers. So that's a real strike against it, I guess. And yeah,
alternatively, I don't know. I've never ridden in a BYD. I've never ridden in a Lee. I have talked to a few people that have. Some of my co-authors and the Elon Musk mission have ridden in these cars. But going off of reporting, and Sam down at Electric Viking, he's ridden in a lot of them. He's actually owned a lot of them. By and large, the other Chinese makers, he isn't reporting great things in terms of the kind of the day in and day out issues. Seem to be a little shakier, even with BYD. I think BYD's even had some significant headlines about some of their problems.
Interesting. So what I hear you saying is that all this talk we hear about the end of the road in China is once again overblown. The people who are saying, well, anybody who wanted one's already got one, are not being honest. Maybe they're not paying attention, but they're definitely not being honest. If you've done the research, and I feel like you and I might have done the research, the picture's pretty clear. China remains a big market with a lot of room to grow, and Tesla remains a busy factory with no room to grow in China. The best they could do is export a little bit less to the European market and to Canada so that they could increase sales. And I think the Model 3 Highland is going to allow them to do that because it's a pretty cool car at a pretty great price.
You know, Brian, now that you say that, it just brings up the whole China production issue again. We know that India might be the next spot, although I think you've said you don't expect it to be the next announcement. It might be announced in March, and we would have some other announcement earlier. I suppose maybe what you said. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth that are not true.
Little
Okay,
bit.
I'm sorry for that. Not again. Have I done
No,
that again?
what I said is I think we'll see expansions of existing factories before an announcement.
Okay, so it would seem like this is just as we're spitballing here. It seems to me that China is going to need way more cars produced in China. Even if they make an India factory, it's probably going to make Gen 3 cars. So where are the additional Model Ys, Model 3s going to come from in order to not only satisfy the Chinese market, but also all the export markets for which China is the hub?
Yeah, all great questions, and I can't wait to hear the answers. I did want to say for my viewers, I'm going to be at Fully Charged in London.
London.
I said it so many times leading up to that trip in Vancouver, British Columbia. The other British, Vancouver, British Columbia, the 8th, 9th, and 10th. I will be on 2 different panels. So if you get a chance, come check me out. Come find me. Seek me out. Who knows? Maybe. I always carry merch around and give it out, so maybe you'll get some of that. And for everyone else, like, subscribe, maybe go over to Randy's channel, give him a hard time for me. I'm over there sometimes too, both in his comments and on his videos. And for everyone else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots after this very short black screen, after which you get to find out what it was that we cut from the beginning of the show. Randy, thank you as always.
It's been great. Cars have been tubeless for a very long time, but I've been in the bicycle business my entire life protecting bicycle inner tubes. So there you go.
Were you a paper boy?
Yes, I started a company years ago. That's what we sell tire liners that go between the tire and the tube and protect against puncture flats. I've been doing that for over 40 years. That's been one of my primary means of income for over 40 years is protecting inner tubes.